Thank you for watching P356 Blog. My name is Sarah, and it's my goal to show who God is and that He is still at work in our lives today. It is never too late to be an influencer for Jesus. Check out more at p356blog.com. This week we're going through Proverbs chapter 9 as we look at what is wisdom and what is folly. So let's jump right in. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her beasts. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her young woman to call from the highest places in the town. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. The woman folly is loud. She is seductive and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house. She takes a seat on the highest places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. And to him who lacks sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Now, in the middle of chapter 9, in verses 7 through 12, we see that wisdom is something that we should take to heart and apply to our lives. That those who are wise love more wisdom, and those who are scoffers and who scoff at wisdom, they're just going to continue down a path that's harmful to themselves alone. Verse 10, super important wisdom nugget that I like to call them. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. Knowing about who God is, revering Him and respecting Him as the creator of all humankind, of all things, that is the beginning of wisdom. If you know that God is in charge of everything, you get to look at the world through His lens. And then it gives you more peace, but more wisdom about how to interact with the world around you. Then there's bookends in chapter 9. So the very beginning of chapter 9 starts out with describing wisdom, building a house, setting a table, doing the work themselves. And then it says that wisdom sends her young women to call from the highest place in the town. Whoever is simple, let him turn in here. If you're walking in your simple ways, not sure which way to go, if you're simple, come in here. We are ready to have a feast. We are ready to accept you in and share wisdom with you. And then verse 5 says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. This is wisdom providing those things, that nourishment to your soul. And then it says, leave your simple ways and live and walk in the way of insight. So walking with wisdom and sharing that table, metaphorically with wisdom, brings about life and brings about insight into your life. But on contrast, the other bookend of chapter 9, starting in verse 13, talking about the woman folly, she's seductive. We talked about this in a previous chapter of Proverbs, that it takes multiple attempts to seduce people most of the time. Most of the time you're walking on your way, you know what's right, you know what's wrong. But if you let those little whispers get into your mind, that's when we start to stray off the path. And it's interesting because folly is also standing in the highest places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. Verse 15 says these are the people who are already on their path. They already know what they're doing, but folly will try to distract them and pull them away from that. And she also says, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. Like, if you think you don't know what you're doing, come on over, come to this party. To him who lacks sense, she says, Stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. So where wisdom is providing this nourishment, folly is taking it away and stealing that nourishment and telling you, oh, look at this really enticing thing. But it says in verse 18 that the dead are there. So there's a huge contrast between wisdom and folly. Following the way that God has for you in wisdom and insight, fearing the Lord and giving him respect. And then there's folly, being seduced off the path that God has for you, to where there's death present in your life. And so what I think is amazing is that God doesn't want us on that path. He wants that relationship with us. But it starts with seeking wisdom and seeking him and knowing who he is, because he has such a heart of love for those who turn to him, and for those who recognize Jesus as their Savior. So I really like Proverbs chapter 9, because I hadn't realized until this week that there was a huge contrast and bookends of wisdom and folly. And right in the middle of that is knowing, in verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. And so if that can be a verse that you hold on to this week, thinking about what path are you on? What are you allowing to seduce you away from that path? And how do you cut that off so you can continue to walk in wisdom with God? I hope that you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next week on Weekly Wisdom through Proverbs. Bye.